Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we're live on the tubes. I accidentally did this vertical instead of horizontal, so you have to forgive me. I'm gonna block you there. You won't be able to see too much of me, but that probably just makes you lucky. Driving through a rainstorm, so I have to be a little careful here. And I've got two little topics that I just want to briefly discuss. The first is Rolex Rumors. Now, I have printed some spy versus spy information lately, and I want to caution you that in those videos, I have been revealing what was presented to me as reasonably credible inside information, but that doesn't mean that I believe everything that I was told in those rumors. So I want you people to take that stuff with a grain of salt. However, I'd like to put you on notice that very shortly I am going to put out a video, and I don't know what I'm going to call it, but it's the spy who I believe. I've got Rolex Mole 3.0, and this is the individual who I believe, because the information dovetails so much with the other pieces of video or of fact, information, and strategy that I predict. So somewhere in the next week, I will put out a video regarding a spy who, I don't know, maybe we'll name him Goldfinger. I'll figure it out, but it's the spy who I actually believe. The other ones have come up with some pieces of information that I find credible, some that I do not. So, for example, do I believe that Rolex is building a new factory for movements? Sure. Yeah, I'll go along with that. Do I believe that they're going to use that to double the number of movements which they manufacture, so they will then flood the market with steel sports Rolex? No, I do not believe that. Now, that's what I have been told by Mole 1.0, but I believe half of that. I don't believe the other half. So I believe that there's a new factory. I mean, listen, they only purchased their movement maker like 5 or 6 years ago. It was not all that long ago. It was the Rolex has had what we call in-house movements, but they never owned the movement maker. They bought them from a family-owned supplier who purchased or who sold and made movements only for Rolex. They had one customer, was Rolex. So they've been doing that since the days of Hans Wilsdorf. So finally that family sold the company to Rolex, and now Rolex owns their own movement maker, but believe it or not, they never did before. So I think one could have argued as to whether their movements were pre-2004 or whenever that sale was. One could argue, was Rolex even making an in-house movement ever? But certainly they are now. So I believe the new factory. I do not believe the rumors that they're going to flood the market. Okay, so that's one quick thing I wanted to talk to you about. And then the other thing is, excuse me, guys. You know my semi-new. I keep reading on Facebook. A guy just posted up in one of the Facebook Rolex collectors groups. He posted up a picture of a virginal Batman and a black GMT, and he very proudly relayed the information on in the Facebook group that he was saving them as safe queens for his kids when they grow up. And of course I responded, dude, feel the steel. Like, I think if you pass along a watch which you have worn, which you have loved, like if I'm getting, I haven't gotten a Rolex from anybody, but if I were getting a Rolex from a loved one, I would want to know that they wore that thing, that that they enjoyed it, that they loved it, that it showed character, that it was a part of their world, right? I want to know, if I get a watch from my dad, that he wore it to work. If I get a watch from my grandfather, I want to know that he traveled in it. If you got somebody serving in the military, wouldn't it be wonderful to inherit a watch that, went on deployment someplace. Or I'm just saying, if you're a truck driver and you're wearing, a Submariner, like, think of how many states that sub could, travel to. And then you're giving your kids a watch that has some life and some love behind it. And I know this guy's heart was in the right place. He wants to give his kids a virginal watch because he thinks it will be worth more for them. But, if you give your kids a Safe Queen, what are you really handing along to them? It's something cold. It's unloved. You might as well give them a stock certificate. So if it's completely about finance, well, geez, just buy some Bitcoin or some gold bullion, throw it in the safe. If it's a physical object, if it's or better yet, just if you have young kids, buy them some shares in a mutual fund of the S&P 500 and just let it go. But if you are buying watches for the next generation, you never really own a Patek. You just take care of it until you pass it on to the next generation. And with a Rolex, you never really own a Rolex. You just own your place on the waiting line that you pass along to the next generation, right? But if you've got a good and worthy watch, wear it. Put some love on it. Don't worry about marking it up. Your kids, if you could shoot ahead 50 years, when they're likely to inherit that thing, do they want to inherit a 50-year-old Rolex that has no dad love in it? Or would they rather inherit a watch that you wore to France, that you worked in, that you recreated in, that you made love to their mother in? I'm telling you straight up. Your kids don't want a museum piece. Or at least this is my concept of the thing. I don't know what you guys think, but that's what I think. I think you should feel the steel. I think we should be wearing watches that have character, as Paul says in the comments. Like if my grandfather left me a watch, I mean, it wouldn't have been an expensive one, right? He ran a furniture store. But, if he left me a watch, a Hamilton or a Boulevard, those were the kinds of watches that he wore, I would love to have that. I would love that. I would love knowing that, for 30 years, he took it to the store, banged it around, unloading the truck, when he was younger, and new furniture came in, that there were scratches on it, that it lived with him, that it lived in the house that I remember as a child, that I loved so much, where my grandparents lived. So I really think you guys ought to give a little consideration to wearing your watches, enjoying your watches. It doesn't, to your kids, I don't think it's going to matter so much whether or not you have an expensive watch. Geez, would I like to inherit a Rolex from Grandpa or my dad? Yes, of course. But it would be equally meaningful to me if I inherited a beat up Timex that had survived. I would love that. I would get it serviced. I would spend more on the watch than it was worth. Now, guys, I know there's lots of comments coming up now about this topic, and I appreciate that in the live stream. I will read them after I'm not driving, but I gotta watch the road here, fellas. So please do leave your comments, because I will review them, and then this video will post up so that other people can watch it and comment on the same topic. Pardon me for the crappy video, but I think the concept is interesting enough or important enough that we can just go with the audio on this one, and you don't have to worry about the video aspect of this particular YouTube vlog. Anyway, so look, let me just recap, because I'm getting close to home. Number one, I have been coming out with lots of information given to me by moles. Now, I don't just repeat literally everything that I hear. I want the bona fides established of the people that I am talking to, and I have done that in each case. If you have inside information from Rolex Geneva, that's fine. You can email me at markgoldberg8@gmail.com. But I will be asking for certain little itty bits of proof of who you are. I will protect your identity, but nonetheless, I don't want to pass along just everything. Now, that being said, they say if you put a bunch of blind people feeling an elephant, touching an elephant. You know, one will think it's like a snake because they felt the trunk. One will think it's like a wall because they felt the the side of the elephant. One will think it's like a tree because they felt the leg. And this is why I believe that there is just so many different rumors and opinions on Rolex, because it is a very large, complicated animal. And lots of people have inside information, but they only know about their little piece or their little area. Very few people have a broad overview of the brand and what they are doing. If you want my personal opinion about what's happening here, and this is something that I have been stating all along, and I think SPY 3.0 will confirm. But nonetheless, my personal opinion is that Rolex, well, you better buckle up for steel sports shortages, because I think it's going to go and last a long time. I think this is the new reality, and I base that on the fact that not all that long ago, Rolex had all their authorized distributors pull out the cases, the big empty steel sports cases that they had for years, replace them with much smaller ones, and then halfway fill it with date justs. So I think this, now why are they doing this? Well, I believe they're doing it for a couple reasons, but I think one of the primary reasons is they are going for Patek level exclusivity. And they're going to have to do that based on supply and demand rather than strictly on horology. You know, remember that Patek watches are built and assembled by an individual watchmaker. You know, a lot of hands touch Patek. There's a lot of handwork and very little handwork on a Rolex. Now, so they're robotically mass produced, yes they are, but to extreme, exacting, amazing, wonderful, industrial, miraculously industrial specifications, right? And yes, they're built by robot, but dollar investment in robots, so it's a very respectable, beautiful. I like the brand quite a bit. At any rate, what I believe they are doing here is they are going with Patek level exclusivity, and they are doing that by creating intense demand and creating shortages that will keep the prices up. These prices are going nowhere but up, guys. Here we are. These prices are going nowhere but up. This shortage is going to get worse. All right, give me a quick sec. Well, I'm on a phone, right? So it's really difficult to look through the comments. So my apologies for not having addressed the stuff that came before. Any comments that you put up now, I will see and be able to talk about a little quicker and a little bit easier. But I think that the shortages are going to continue. That's my personal opinion. I am reporting moles who may, say slightly different things, but just because I report what they have to say doesn't mean I believe it. And I think in future videos I should do a better job of distinguishing between what I believe and what they say. Ara says he bought 4 Rolex Submariner date this month, 4, because the salesman kept calling. Well, bloody disappeared. So yeah, okay, so Ara was able to buy bunches of Rolexes and just resell them. Well, that's lucky for you. It doesn't happen that way for everybody. Establishing that relationship is a little bit difficult. It's something that I'm working on myself. In my case, here's what I'm not trying to do with my authorized distributor or my authorized dealer. I am not trying to buy watches from my AD in order to resell them at a profit. I'm trying to buy them, to wear them, enjoy them, keep them. I have sold some Rolex in the past, but very, very little. I'll tell you what I've sold, because I am no Rolex flipper. I've discovered that I don't really love the pre-ceramic stuff. And so I sold a 16600, which is a pre-ceramic Sea Dweller. And I don't think those are ever going to do as well. I'm sure they're going to go up, but I don't think they're ever going to do as well as the Submariners, because the Submariner is the icon. I mean, technically, the Sea Dweller is a better watch. It's got better specs, but the Sub is the thing. The Sub is the icon. So I sold that. Now, I had a black GMT, and I was very, very lucky, and I got a tremendous deal on a full kit Batman. And this was when neither of those watches was like super hot. And I kept that black for a year. And then I started thinking, well, I never wear it because I got the Batman. What do I need 2 GMTs for? So like a putz, I sold it. I would never do that again. I sold a ceramic, yeah, I sold a ceramic Rolex. I don't think Steel Sports, I don't think I'll ever do that again. So I sold it. I didn't lose money on it. In fact, I made a little money, but then shortly thereafter they discontinued it and I was sad. And then long before that, I did a terrible, stupid, awful thing. And I sold a Steel Daytona. I don't want to tell you what I sold it for, but it is worth slightly more than double now what I sold it for. So I've learned some very painful lessons, and the modern era Steel Sports Rolexes, they appeal to me. There's a couple more that I would like to buy. I'm looking to form relationship with my AD, and but the reality is, if you guys buy to flip, well, okay, I can't blame anybody who wants to make a buck, but that's not me. I would rather just keep my stuff. Guys, feel the steel? Wear your Rolex. You know what? If you're intending to pass something along to the kids, then give them something which has some dad love in it or some grandpa love in it. A Rolex that just lived in the safe, that's covered in stickers, that comes out virginal, that you never did anything with. It's money. Really all it is money, but it's not going to have the same sentimental value as something that has signs that you loved it all over it. Excuse me. This watch, I bought it used on eBay. I got a reasonable deal on it. I think I paid, $50 below MSRP, and it's a 6-7-year-old watch, but it is full kit. And it has been molested by a light polish, but there's small signs that somebody wore it before me, and that somebody loved it. And I don't know. At first, I didn't like that. I thought, well, maybe I'll just get it fully restored. But 2-3 weeks later, it felt like mine. They felt like my dings, and I'm sure I've added my own little scratches and dings to this thing because I tend to live in it, work in it. I wear it a lot. And I think if I was to give this to my kids, it would mean a lot more than if I were to just give them a new one. If you just want to give your kids something new, well, then just leave them money. Guys, feel the steel and prepare for a very long haul. Rolex, it's not coming anytime soon, the good stuff. Please do me a favor, hit the like button. I've got 6 likes on this one already, but I am told that these likes are becoming ever more important to the YouTube, algorithms and gods, and really all I'm trying to do here is to thank you for those of you. I see bunches of you hitting the like button. I really do appreciate that, because Mark asks what my email address is. markgoldberg8@gmail.com. It is in the description of many of my videos. Mark with a C. Mark Goldberg, number 8@gmail. So please keep hitting the like, because there's like 50 of you, 53 of you in this room. I see that like. Thank you. Listen, here's why. YouTube's a little crazy, and they constantly change their algorithms in terms of how things work. And I really appreciate your being here. This is kind of the last thing I want to discuss briefly then. It's the whole thing about these likes, comments, subscriptions, that kind of thing. I never, you need to prevent me from going full-time on YouTube. I am the last guy who wants to go full-time on YouTube, because I've got 2 other jobs that I love. Like this one I like. I mean, I really like being with you. In fact, I love it. It's, where else could you make, 50 cents off of a video just blabbing about your obsessive hobby? So I do love this. But I'm a dog trainer. I spent my entire life, learning to train dogs, loving dogs, and wanting to help that species and also the people that live with them. And then, as you know, I write books about dogs, and that's time consuming, but it's a labor of love, because even though it takes you a couple of years to get a book out, once you've done it, you can help people that you've never met, thousands and thousands of people who you've never met, never talked to. So I got enough going, where I don't want to go full-time on YouTube. But when you hit that like button, if you haven't done it yet, please do. It really helps, because it lets me know that I'm not doing this all alone, and so forth. Oh, somebody asked, when is the Hulk coming in? MJD. Well, listen, these days, if you get on a list, if someone will take a deposit you know, and you even get on the waiting list for a Hulk or any of the hot short supply, you know, steel sports, you know, you got to be really grateful because it means you're probably going to get one. The thing is, you don't know how long it's going to take you to get one. So I don't have a Hulk yet. I got the black. Really like it. So I really think I would like a green. It would go really good with this. Booster, $2. Thank you for that, Booster. What was your first dog like? Wow. Well, I'll tell you what. He's in my logo. That's him. I know it's done in a patch, but that's based on a black and white photograph that's in my book. So if you guys want to, those of you who, yeah, it's in my book. That was a picture taken in 1974, and his name was Gus. And I got him when I was 11. And he lived until I was 29. So that dog took me from childhood well into adulthood. And he taught me everything I needed to know about dogs. And I thought I was a hot shit dog trainer because I started training him when I was 12. And he was good and he was smart and he learned a lot. And it made me, and you know, I have OCD, right? So starting then, I wanted to obsessively learn everything I could about dogs because finally I was succeeding at something like I was with this dog. And so I started to read, and my teachers started to hire me to figure out their dogs. And you know, so it started very young for me, but it did start with this dog. His name was Gus. And like I said, I thought I was a hot shit dog trainer. It took me a couple of years to, you know, to understand that I wasn't a hot shit dog trainer. I had a very good, very, very smart dog. And I learned many valuable lessons from him. Good morning, Da Machine. I learned many valuable lessons from that dog, and they are lifelong. I think about him often. I see him often because he's on my logo, he's in my book. So I feel a lot of gratitude to Gus. So Booster, I know you got your $2 worth out and a tear, God damn it, you bastard, you know, out of that one. But let me tell you what, if you are lucky, someday you'll have not just a dog, but you'll have like an incredibly profound relationship with a dog where you can read each other's minds. And that was me and that dog. Gentlemen, thank you so much for spending this time with me. I want to thank you. I super appreciate it. Before I go, give me 5 more likes. 5 of you haven't hit the like button. I got 20 of you so far, and you have no idea. It means a lot. But, you know, a couple more of you, please hit that like button. Don't lock up your watches. Feel the steel, okay? If you're going to give your kid a watch, give your kid a watch that you have sweated in, that you have jumped into the ocean with, that you've swam with, that you worked in. Make love to their mother wearing this watch so you can give them their family heritage. That's what this is. This is your family's heritage in a beautiful mechanical object. That's what you want to give to your kids. Guys, thanks for hitting the like button. Thanks for being with me. It's going to be Goldberg. Peace out. Now I got to find the little button. Here it is. Hold on. Bye, guys.